Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the 4Ps podcast. I have always, and I always bring this up, I always have great guests that are on our show. And this week is, again, no exception. I say that every single week, just about when I come here. But this one is particularly no exception. Adrienne Bender is her name. She lives in Edmonton, Alberta. Um, she has a book out. We'll talk about the book during the interview. Um, when I started researching Adrienne, I was reading her book, and I just started reading her book. I didn't, go deep into it. I do know that there was a backstory. I do know that there were some things that she was going through and that she went through. And she said something. I asked a question, a part that I didn't get to the book yet, and I asked a question that stunned me during this interview. I'm not going to tell you what the question was, but you are absolutely going to know when you watch this podcast or listen to this podcast, wherever you're listening to it, where that was and what happened. Some people come into your life and they really make you think. And Adrienne is one of those people. When you hear her story, you are going to be, you're going to be, if you have any sympathy at all, you're going to be heartbroken from her story. But you're also going to have a symbol of there's something about her. There's a level of strength that I've never seen in anybody in my entire life. I've never seen this level of strength in this time in any person at all. And right off the bat, there's an admiration I have for Adrienne that is unlike any admiration I've ever had. Um, it's not that I admire her more than I admire other people. That's not the case. It is just there's something about Adrienne that you will be inspired by her story. Absolutely, for sure. We will be back right after this with Adrienne Bender's story. Again, like I said, you want to hear every single word of her story. You really do. We'll be right back right after this.
Your story matters. Your voice deserves to be heard. At DNP, we bring your dream, purpose, and passion to life in print. Whether your manuscript is ready to go or just an idea waiting to unfold, we're here to guide you. With expert editing, stunning graphics, and the knowledge to make your book a reality, we'll help you share it with the world. From book festivals to signings, this is your moment. Let's turn your dream, purpose, and passion into print. Connect with us today and make your dream a reality.
Okay. Welcome back to the 4Ps podcast. We are here with Adrienne Bender. Adrienne Bender is a person that, and I've had many strong guests on this program, and Adrienne is no exception. She is the author of the book, The Almost Miracle Years. When you hear her story and when you hear what she does today, you're going to fall in love with this individual. You're going to fall in love with her strength. Adrienne, I want to say she is from Edmonton. I'm sorry. Yeah, she's from Edmonton, Alberta. I almost said something wrong. I almost did. And so she's from Edmonton, Alberta. Welcome, Adrienne, to the program. How are you doing today?
I'm really great. Thank you.
Very good. We were talking before we started the interview. My daughter, she was, my daughter, and my audience knows she's passed on since now, and she was a young mother at 17. Yeah. And one thing I want to share before we go into your story, one thing that I admired about my daughter was the fact that even when she knew, she was up against it, she really wanted to move forward, and she wanted to build the best life she could for her son. And she wanted to go to college. She wanted to go into nursing. And I remember that is what her plan was before she passed on. When I started reading your story, The first thing is I'm reading about a 17-year-old young lady who had a child and who did not and refused to become a statistic. And I'm going to tell you, when I read that and saw that, it brought back good memories of my daughter. And I want to say, as somebody who, as a father who related to the beginning of that story, I want to say thank you for sharing. And again, that's why I say I admire your strength. What drives you? That's what I want to ask. What drives you to do what you do?
I don't know if it's genetics or if it's just who I am, but I mean, I remember like as a child, like 3-year-old child, I was doing tap dancing lessons and my mom trying to tell me how to do the steps. And it's like, no, I can do it myself. Like I've always just been like super stubborn, super independent. And then, yeah, my childhood, my mom had a couple marriages, whatever. And then I ended up living with my dad. And then he was bipolar. So, it was like a little bit difficult. Like we fought all the time. I love my
Hmm.
dad though. Like his heart is gold. But I was just like, I gotta get the fuck out of this house. So I finished high school in 2 years. So I graduated when I was 16, straight honors.
Wow.
Um, and then I was like, I'm gonna move out. And then, things happened and I got pregnant with my son. So instead of going to university that year, I had my son that year. And then, but I did, he was 3 months old. I got myself together and went to the science program at the University of Alberta and moved out on my own, got a basement suite, got a part-time job and did my bachelor's science while I had a little baby, and I worked part-time as well.
Hmm.
I don't know, I always had that feeling like I didn't want to be a burden to anyone, and I just had to like take care of myself, and I wasn't gonna make my son have a loser life. So like I was really motivated by him to just like get my career going. So I did that.
How's it? How and I'm asking this because I always stress you need to have a strong network around you.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying this. I'm just saying this based on the story you're sending. So I'm not trying to jump in and say, well, you didn't have one. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that you're based on your description. Your mom was trying to find her way.
Mhm.
Okay, your
With your
dad
man.
had,
Yep.
yeah, and I mean, but seriously, she was trying to
Mhm.
find her way, and I'm saying that in the nicest way possible.
Mhm.
Your dad, even though there was a connection there, there was some love there, and even when you're talking, you say, "I love my dad," but my dad had issues that he had to deal with as well.
Mhm.
Usually, in a situation like yours, okay, where now you have a teen mother, you don't have or seemingly do not have that support around you.
Mhm.
Usually, someone in that situation falls through the cracks.
Mhm.
What kept you? What I mean, seriously, what there had to have been. I mean, again, what I'm saying, there's something there that I know that you have motivation. Not, there's no doubt about it.
No,
But what kept you going?
well, I mean, I could have stayed home with my mom. Like that was an option. I could have lived with my mom and her husband. And to me that wasn't like it was an option, but in my brain it wasn't an option because he was not a healthy person and I didn't want to be involved in their marriage. So I just, like a crazy person, I don't know, I just went out, got a student loan, got a job, and I just, like, in hindsight, maybe I would have like sucked it up and dealt with her loser husband for a bit, but like at the time I was like, I don't want to be a burden to anyone. I'm just going to do this on my own. I can do it.
Hmm.
I'm fine. And I did it. Like I just,
You did. You
yeah.
absolutely did. What
Mhm.
are some of the challenges? And I really do hope when this episode is released, I hope there are single mothers, and I don't care what age. They could be 17, they could be
Mhm.
37. But I want them to listen to this. And again, my
I got to
admiration
quit
for
grooming
you
myself.
is
Sorry.
that's okay. You're fine. My admiration for you is great. What advice would you give someone who faces the burdens and challenges that you face. And I'm gonna say that I don't want to say single mothers. I want to say single parents because there's dads out there
Mhm.
that are facing this as well. What advice, what drove you, and what advice would you give to someone in this situation?
For me, it was all about my kids. My kids need a good life. I don't care if this guy says he's all that and that guy says he's all this. Like, I was like, I don't kind of, not that I don't trust anyone, but I'm like not relying on anyone. Like, my kids are going to have a good life because of me. And that's that. I would say that's my advice.
That's
Like,
beautiful. And
yeah.
and that was your purpose. That was your driving
Hmm.
force. And
Hmm.
and that is, and I will say for most mothers, especially mothers, fathers too. I mean, I know that drives me, but for a lot of single mothers, I know that what keeps them going is that kid. You know, it just keeps them and drives them.
Yeah, like
So
my
now,
son
go ahead.
saved me. Like I was young when I had him and I was always driven, but like that year I took off. I partied a little bit and whatever, but when I found out I was pregnant, I was like that's it. Going to university, like my son's not going to be born to a welfare mom. Like he's going to have a good life. Like I don't care who, who stands in my way. Like this is I'm going to
Okay.
do this.
So you graduate college, okay,
Hmm.
or university. Um, what happens next?
Well, so I did meet someone like halfway through. So then we got married um, right before I finished with my science degree. So I did have a husband for that time, and then that's who I had my daughter with.
Hmm.
And in my brain at the time, I thought, no guy wants a young girl with a kid, but this guy like I kind of married him because he was good to my kid, and
Okay.
then and then I finished my nursing. We had my daughter. I finished my nursing, and then he got really insecure that I was making more money than him, and that I was like more independent. He didn't like that. Like the marriage kind of went south. Like he kind of wanted to be my prince or whatever, and
Right.
so that didn't work out. Um, so that was fine. And then we separated, and then um, I met someone else. In hindsight, hindsight's 2020, right? It was too
Hmm.
soon, and he, you know, took me out. My first husband didn't take me anywhere or do anything with me, and the second one was like vacations, this, whatever. So, anyways, we ended up getting married, and things were good as long as he was making money. And then my daughter got cancer when we were together, and he was really great. He like made her homemade meals every day in the hospital, and like he was super supportive, and that was all great. And then after he was in the oil field, and
Right.
then after she recovered, she was in remission, and he lost his job. We had all these bills, and like I was working like 60 hours a week in the ER as a nurse, and he didn't like that his wife was calling the shots, so he took all our money and fled the country to Vietnam and left me like high and dry. And then my son relapsed, and then my daughter relapsed, and then it's kind of been like that since 2016. Like it was like I didn't have time to stop. There's no pass go. There's no $200. It was just like you got to survive. So it was like 2016 until 2023 was pretty much just survive, survive, survive.
Wow. So, do you have any? I mean, he fled to Vietnam. Do you have any? Does he have
He,
any? So now the daughter, his that was his daughter,
no,
correct?
no,
No,
but
that was okay.
he had a daughter that he also left. So my daughter and his daughter were about a year apart,
Okay.
and we had a great family thing for about 10 years. Like it was a great blended family. We went on all these trips. It was lovely. We had all these dinner parties. Like it was perfect. Like I never in a million years thought he'd do that. And then when he lost his status and I was like working like a dog, he just fucked off, I guess. He left his daughter too. Last time I talked to her, she said she hasn't heard from him in years. So.
Wow. So now, so you talk to the daughter though.
Yeah.
There's still some relationship there.
Yeah.
Good. So now what do you do?
Well, for my day job, I'm a children's mental health therapist. So I've been doing that for about 20 years. And then I did get trained to be a grief recovery coach. So then that's kind of my side thing I do.
Okay.
Um, yeah, if people want to do the grief thing with me. And then I wrote my book. And then the podcasts, I've done about 6 or 7 now. So I just really want a Netflix series so I can retire.
Absolutely. So now your book is called The Almost Miracle Years, and it's a mother's journey of hope and resilience during her children's struggle with addiction and cancer and her
Mhm.
navigation through grief and loss. How's your son doing?
He passed away
That's right.
in 2023, yeah.
I did not read that far in, and I
Yeah.
apologize on that.
So
Um,
he's doing great because he's not here and he's not dealing with like politics and like he's probably having a great time.
yes. And
Yes.
so what um, can you share that part
Yeah,
about
for
your son?
sure. So my son struggled like so long story short, he was struggling with addiction before his sister first got diagnosed with cancer. So he was about 12 and it was pretty bad. So I actually quit my job. I pulled him out of school. I homeschooled him. I like did all the counseling, all the things like cuz I work in the business. I work with children as a mental health therapist, right? So I got called all my friends and like got all the things and he was doing really well. And so he was upset to go to a brand new junior high after I'd like kind of kept him like in a bubble for about 6 months. And then the first week he started at that new junior high, his sister got diagnosed with cancer. So then, and then the cancer she had was really aggressive. It wasn't like, oh, we go to the hospital for infusion, go home. It was like we were in the hospital for like 9 months. So I just kind of said to him, look, like any trouble and you got to go stay with your grandparents. Like I can't deal with you and her at the same time. So of course he got into trouble. So then he went and stayed with my mom. And then he got into trouble there. And then they kicked him out and then he went to go stay with his other grandparents because I was like living in the hospital basically.
And now your son at this time is in junior high.
Yeah, he was 13. And
Okay.
then he managed to do like he finished grade 9, he got honors, he was doing okay, and then Kenzie got out of the hospital and she was in remission. It was good. And then I had him go to a rehab program. I pulled some strings with people I know at work. So then he went to the rehab program for 6 months. He came home on the weekends and he was doing great and everything was great. And Mackenzie, like everything was good. We like traveled, like I was working a lot. Mackenzie was in remission. Kyler was doing great. He graduated high school. Everything was good. And then Dave lost his job. And then he fled the country. And then Kyler relapsed really bad. And he had like dangerous people in my house because I was working like 60 hours a week to pay the bills. So like I'd come home and I'd be like, this is not safe. Like you gotta you gotta leave. Like it's not safe for my 12-year-old daughter to be with these fucking gangbangers in my house, right? So I had him go live with his grandparents, and then she relapsed about a month after that, and then we had to move to Calgary, and then we had to sell our house, and like it was just like crazy. And then we came back from Calgary. She did okay for a bit. Kyler was not doing well.
Mm-mm.
I sold my house. Dave came back. He sold the papers. We got divorced. Sold the house. Got a rental. And then we went for routine blood work, and Mackenzie's bone marrow was empty. So then we had to go back to Calgary and get another infusion. And then she was doing really good for a couple months, and then she just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. And then I actually met someone, and I ended up moving in with him. And then yeah, Kyler was running the streets, and Mackenzie was like, both of my kids were in two different emergency rooms at the same time for different reasons, like for like months and months and months. And I had to decide, and I was working full time, and I had to decide, like, which one do I go to today? And then one day so the guy I was living with, he had kids, little kids. My daughter was like a mother hen. She liked little kids, right? So she had this great Halloween party. She loved Halloween. That was her thing. So she had this great Halloween party for Derek's kids, and it went off well. She did all the work. She, like, decorated, told the scary stories.
So your daughter's doing this?
Yeah, totally, 100%.
So she's sick, and she's...
Oh, no, she was, like, so sick, she'd, like, fall down because she was so weak.
But she was still trying to entertain.
Oh, 100%. No, she was, like, a rock star. And then at the end of the party, she's like, Mom, we need to go to the ER. And I'm like, we have an appointment at 9. She's like, my lungs hurt. I'm like, it's okay. Like, so I just slept with her in her bed because we already had an appointment at 9 in the morning. And then we went at 9 in the morning after she did this crazy Halloween party. She decorated, made the crafts, she was an Aries, so she's super driven. So then we got there, and then the doctor, the oncologist, Dr. Marta, she was like, so Mackenzie, when kids are as sick as you, sometimes their hearts stop. Like, if your heart stops, do you want us to pound on your chest and, like, put a tube down your throat? And she said no. So then I called her dad, and he agreed with me. So we gave her permission to not, if that happened, for her to not be revived. So then her oncologist, they were still hopeful. She had a couple months. So then, like, they got her a second wish. Like, we had one wish the first time she was sick. So they're like, got her a second wish. And then we're, like, trying to make, like, let's enjoy this last little time together. So one of her things was she wanted to go to Hawaii. So she couldn't travel because her lungs were so bad. So my brother-in-law we went to the West Edmonton Mall water park, and we got free cabanas because, like, he was working for them or something. And she went down a water slide, and she was so weak, she had to, like, drive one of those scooters.
Yeah.
And then I remember my brother-in-law, and she was so jaundiced, she was, like, yellow. And, like, my brother-in-law, like, carried her up his back, up the stairs to go down a water slide for, like, her last water slide. And then it was, like, one of those really, like, easy ones. Like, you go into a tray, like, not, And she's like, Mom, I was so weak. I felt like a cat in a washing machine. I was just, like, spinning around the thing. So she did that, and then we stayed in a theme room, like a Polynesian theme room, me and my girlfriend and her daughter and Mackenzie. And we, like, friends had brought, like, all these beautiful, like, Hawaiian flowers, because it's supposed to be, like, Hawaiian theme or whatever.
Yeah. And
we filled the bathtub with, like, glitter bath bombs, and, like, we had a great night. And then the next morning, she was in her little scooter, and she wanted to go to the antique photo shop. I don't know if you guys have those, I assume.
Yeah.
Anyways, and she was like, Mom, I want to take a picture in a wedding dress because I'm not going to have a wedding. I want to do that for you. So I'm trying so hard to, like, compose myself. So she, even though she was, like, couldn't breathe and was, like, so sick, she, like, did this photo shoot, and then she went back to the hospital. And then, because me and her dad were separated, she had another Halloween party at his house that night. But then she texted me, she's like, Mom, I'm too tired. I want to go back to the hospital. So she went back to the hospital. And then, so that was right before Halloween. And then she waited for her grandma on her dad's side and her uncle to come. Her uncle was in Japan. And they came, and then she, like, slipped into a coma. And then on Halloween, so I texted all her friends, and they just seen her at these parties. So all these teenagers came dressed up in, like, Halloween costumes, and she was, like, in a coma. And so her bucket list things were she wanted to graduate high school, go to Hawaii. So we tried to do the Hawaii. Meet someone famous was the other one. So then there was a musician who happened to be in the hospital that day on Halloween. And one of the nurses came and said, well, would you, does this count for her bucket list as meeting someone famous? I'm like, well, sure. Like, what are we going to do, right? So he comes into the room, and there's about 30 kids and adults, 80% of Halloween costumes on. And he played Blackbird from the Beatles. And like everybody, like you could never recreate that experience. Like it was just like everyone was crying, people were holding, like it was crazy. And then after that, we stayed in the hospital room. Me, my mom, and her dad. We stayed overnight, and then in the morning, the nurse is like, "You can go home. Like she's not gonna go soon. You can go home and like have a rest." So we went home. We had a shower. Went for lunch, and her dad wouldn't leave her side. And then when we got back, her dad was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go get lunch." And then I was rubbing her feet, and he went to go get lunch, and I think she was waiting for, he's like kind of the weaker one. So I was rubbing her feet, and she stopped breathing, and well, he was gone, and then that was that. And then, so that was November 1st. So that was All Saints Day.
So that was November 1st of what year? What was that?
2018. Yeah, so then she left, and then her brother was in a bad state. Like when I told him she was going, he was heavy into his addiction, and he ran to the hospital with like stocking feet. Like he didn't even put his shoes on.
No.
And then the day of her service, he tried to commit suicide. It didn't work. And then he went to rehab, and then he was doing okay. And then I got a call from his girlfriend, and she was like, we had to give him CPR. And then, so then I was like, I can't lose both my kids. So then I just picked him up, and I was like, okay, you can come home with me, but you have to do some treatment. So then he came home with me. Then he started the methadone treatment. And it was like really hairy. Like I had to call the cops on him a few times. And then he switched to Suboxone. And then he did really well. He was doing great. He was sober for a long time. And then he started going to college and was getting straight A's. And it was like, I never even thought like in a million years. And he was doing really well. Yeah. And then he got jumped on the LRT by a gang. And he kept going to the hospitals, and they kept turning him away because they thought he was an addict just seeking meds. So then the last hospital admission, they sent him home at noon, and they gave him an outpatient requisition for a CT scan of his chest because he said, Mom, I can't breathe. I don't know if I have COVID or if it's from that beating, but I can't breathe. And then I texted him that night at like 7 p.m. and I was going to come the next day and give him a SIM card for his phone. And then I found out at 9 a.m. on Facebook that he was dead.
You found out on Facebook he was dead?
Yeah. His girlfriend, who had been staying with him, who gave him whatever killed him, posted, "Rest in peace, Kyler."
Did anything happen to her?
No, nothing happened to her. It was a homicide investigation because of the beating. And they took his laptop I'm talking to you on right now. But no, and then once the toxicology came back, so the cause of death was a combination of pulmonary edema from the beating plus whatever his girlfriend gave him. Had fentanyl in it.
So rest in peace is all, and she didn't even call, she didn't have the courtesy to call or anything. She just put that on Facebook.
Yeah. So I called her, of course, and then she was at the house and the police were there, and, you know, a friend from work drove me, and like they wouldn't let me in the room because it was a homicide investigation. We had to wait for the coroner, like it was the whole thing. But yeah.
So I'm very sorry. This is, I mean, it's in what really gets me is now you help others, and this has been all right. So I lost my daughter 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's 10 years ago back in June. It still affects me. It still hurts me. I obviously this happens to you. I try to help people, and help people go through what they go through, and I talk to them. You do this as a job. You go and talk to people, and you help people through the grieving process. Now, the reason why I say this is brand new. This is not even You're not even looking at what, 5 years, right? Has it been?
Not for both of them, no.
No, not combined. What And so you've gone since you've had and you've had trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma. I can go
And that's
back
not even
to
my dad and my grandpa and my uncle.
That's what
Like,
I'm
that's
saying.
in
I'm
the
going
book
back there.
too.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm going back to trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma. And like I said, I'm reading your book, and there's trauma I haven't read yet. And
And I
now
left
I
some
I
out.
got it. So one thing is two things. You have a smile on your face. What keeps that smile? I mean, there are people out there. I want you to answer this question, but I want everybody to know there are people out here that have not even gone through 1% of what you go through, and their life is fucking miserable. Okay, I'm sorry. I usually don't use that word, but I mean, not
I
on
get it. I know. I
podcasts
know
at
those
least.
people. I work with
But
those people.
but what makes you have that smile on your face, and also what makes you try to help, what drives you to help people overcome grief, what keeps you going?
I I have a strong belief in the afterlife, and I have a strong belief in like soul contracts, and I feel like if I don't do it right this time, I'll come back around in the next life and have very similar traumas. So I'm trying to get it right. I'm trying to like take what the lessons, and I'm trying to find beauty in them, and I'm trying to share them with others so that like the world can be a better place. Everyone can just like, it doesn't matter if my carpet's stained, like whatever, like I can still find joy in my day or whatever. So I guess I'm trying to help the world, because otherwise, like, what was the point of all the suffering I went through?
That is absolutely beautiful what you just said. um Again, like I said, I admire you. I admire your strength. um
And I feel like they're
you know
here. Like, they're here. I just can't see them, but, like, when my daughter died, it was the first one, and it was really, really hard. And, like, I drank a lot, and I numbed my feelings. And then when it happened the second time, I was like, I need to find meaning in this. Otherwise, why? Like, why did this happen? Sorry.
Absolutely. No, no, you have every right. There's nothing for you to be sorry about at all.
But yeah, because
Again,
it's like, why else? Like, is God just mean? Like, I don't know. Like there's got to be something out of this that I can learn from and help other people to not be miserable in their existence. Of they're mad. Like, I'm on this Facebook group. I live in kind of a well-to-do area, and I'm on this Facebook group, and these ladies, some of the complaints they have, I'm just like, oh boy, like there's some work to be done here. Like, oh, you're worried about your marble table, like has a smudge on it. Like, that's what
yeah.
you're worried about. Okay.
Yeah, I will say, yeah, that is some first world stuff, and
Yeah.
for sure. Adrian, what would you like to leave my audience with? I mean, honestly, you left them with a lot today, a lot to consider. Um, there, there is, I mean, there's not a person I've had on this podcast that represents persistence as much as you. There really isn't. You're a persistent individual, and for you to keep on and like literally go back and fight the world again, and now try to help people fight the world as well,
Well,
is
someone has
just, yeah, exactly,
to.
is just wonderful. What would you like to leave?
I would
Some
like to leave
advice.
with people that, like, despite losing my kids, I went through a lot of, hard times where, like, they were suffering and suffering and suffering. And and I'm a mom, and I like my kids are my world. But one thing I can say that I learned from going through that was I could always find something. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, my daughter almost died again today. She's been vomiting blood for 12 hours straight. But you know what? I had a great donaire. And in that 10 minutes, like, I enjoyed that moment. I listened to a good song. And, like, you can still, even though everything's terrible, you can still find, even if it's a minute or 10 minutes, you can still find joy in life. And you need to do that because otherwise, like, what's the point? So I found that going through those struggles with my kids, like my son, like sometimes he'd like attack me and break down my door and like wreck the drywall, and the next day he'd be sober and like I'd take him for a burger and we'd kind of make jokes about it because it's like, like I know it wasn't him, it was the drugs, and like I didn't enable him in any way, shape, or form, but you still have to find the joy like in the shit, right? Like because otherwise, like everything's everything's hard, in this world right now. And, whether it's, oh, I enjoyed this little Netflix show or, I went for a walk with my dog and I found that finding little things in each day like got me through it, and then also planning things to look forward to, even if they're like small things, even if they're like most people would take them for granted, but say, oh, it's a coffee date, say it's a yoga class, whatever. And then during that time, you try and be present for that time. And then if everything's shit after, well, at least you enjoyed that time that you were doing that thing that you planned.
Absolutely. Adrienne, thank you so much. Thank you for finding joy even in the darkest. You're finding light in the darkest of days, and I absolutely appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate your bravery in sharing your story. I will. I'm not only am I. I'm going to make sure I put this, and if, with your permission, I want to put this on my website. I want to put your
Yes,
book on the
please.
website as well.
Yeah.
I want you guys to get it. It's like almost miracle years.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that through, and I'm going to finish this through all of the garbage and the nastiness and trauma and death and just total misery. Um, uh, you know, Adrienne is a great individual, and she is somebody that you can draw strength from because she's a strong person and she's got a lot of strength to give. That is for sure. We'll be
Yeah.
right back right after this.
The Four Ps of You, expanded edition by Trunnis Goggins, is a powerful guide to personal growth built on four foundational principles: purpose, planning, passion, and persistence. In this expanded edition, Goggins shares real stories of trials and tribulations, his own and those of others, to inspire readers to reflect, reset, and rise. With added insights and practical exercises, this book empowers you to navigate life's challenges, unlock your potential, and live with greater intention and impact. The Four Ps of You is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and worldwide wherever books are sold.
Welcome back to the Four Piece Podcast. Again, I'm sure that you are still probably in awe, shocked, so to speak, as to what happened in her life. Please get her book. I'm telling you right now, you will be able to go on my website to get her book as well. I want you to get her book. It is available on Amazon. You know, for her to go back and to help other people go through the grief process, even though she is still deep in that grief process. I mean, she has lost so many people. I mean, from birth, unfortunately, she was dealt a hand, but yet she knows how to play that hand, and she does it in such a graceful way. Um, to go through what she's gone through, losing both of her children, um, is just unbelievable. But again, teen pregnancy, and she, even with the situation where she was a teen mom, she didn't go and she never ever used anything as an excuse. She just said, "This is what I have to do now. This is what I have to do now. This is what I have to do now." And she does it. Her kids had a great life because of her, regardless of how long or how short it was. They did have a great life. She tried everything she could to provide her children with a great life. The other thing with her is you know, her willingness to help other people is just it's outstanding. It's amazing what she does as a person. You know, they say that God doesn't give you more than what you can handle. And I have to disagree with that. I know when people say that, well, God gives you not more than what you can handle. I know they're trying to say that to comfort you. I've heard it a number of times. I'm sure that you in my audience have heard it a couple of times, a number of times as well. You know, and I know they try to say that as a way to make you feel better, but in all actuality, it's almost like a it's almost like a you'll get over it type type saying. If you want me to be honest with you, it's almost like a you get over it. I don't think God will only give you what you can handle, because that doesn't make you stronger. When you are weightlifting, or something like that, in order for you to get stronger, you have to add weight. And that's what life's all about, is adding weight. And sometimes you just get extra weight, you just get extra weight, you just get extra weight, and that's what you do. Now, on that slogan, or on that statement of God doesn't give you more than what you can handle, I think God gives you more than what you can handle sometimes, to make sure He know that He's there, and He's in your life, and He is there to help you. He's walking through you. He's almost like, if you go back to the weightlifting, He's your spotter. So when that weight gets too heavy, He's going to grab that weight, and He's going to lift it up, and He's going to put it back on the rack. And that is the greatest thing about God. Now, the funny thing is even though He's going to put it back on the rack, the next time you try to lift that same amount of weight, you're probably going to be able to lift it. He's still going to be there, but you're probably going to be able to lift it. And with Adrienne, I think that's what I see in Adrienne. I see that Adrienne, now she is the spotter for many people, trying to help them through their process. This is not the last time you'll see Adrienne on this program. Again, she has touched my heart, and I just I to lose one child to cancer, and to lose another to a drug overdose, and the way that she found out about his death, it's so troubling. It's very troubling. Again, going right back to um, drug use and things like that. Make sure that I mean, it's just a bad thing. It is so entrenched in our society, in the Western world. I can't talk about other parts of the world, but I do know the Western world. It is a very, very bad part, and I think it could be the number one cause of the demise of the Western world, if we don't do something to fix it, and fix it quick. We'll be back next week. We have a special guest coming up next week. His name is Bruce Shaw, and Bruce Shaw has a great book out. He will be on our program. You're gonna really enjoy his take. He has been a friend of our family, the Goggins family, for eons, since before I was even born. And so I can't wait to have him on. Again, we'll be talking about his book, and we're gonna, again, we'll have a lot of good times with her. Can't get over Adrienne. I really can't. Again, hopefully you draw strength from this. And that whatever is going on in your life right now, that moving forward is the key, and helping others is the key. A lot of people find strength through helping others, and it does. It helps you. It does. It helps you resolve what's going on in your heart, and it helps you cure what's going on in your neighbor's heart. We'll be back next week. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.